the email, also on the recruitment. And then I already collect the address of the speakers for the appreciation gesture that you want to give to them. I think Jin will work on this. And then also, I already sent the message for the appreciation as well. I already made a post on LinkedIn uh, about their joining in that with that their their challenge, no, the opportunities to join with us. And then, the next step is kind of like evaluation. So actually, I have put like column in the paper. You can open the paper on the evidence part, and then you can please put your evaluation for who attends or maybe who knows the process about this PPE talk. So maybe we can make it better for the next time. Please put your evaluation there. It will be great for me and then for us as well. And then also, I'm trying to arrange the next webinar. And the topic will be remote working. So it might be like, I will do it monthly. I'm planning to do it on 25th of July. And then my first speaker will be Jennifer Fry. But you guys from the HR team, if you know someone that also better in remote working things, please just tell me, and or maybe I will try to reach him, or maybe we can do it together. And I'm gonna make a team for the next PV talk. And then I also have a prediction here. Since I use email UGM for the last recording, but the problem is I can't access it because from the alumni, they are like make limited access for the G Suite. So it will be back on July 1st to 3. So I think I will keep the video on that day. And then I also need an access for the BV Seminar 2020 response sheet. So maybe Jing, can I have the
Done.
access
It's
for
done.
the seminar?
I've shared the document to shinthia.bukitvista@gmail.com.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Yep, I think that's an update for me. And if you guys have anything to be asked, or maybe like another name to put on, and yeah, please put it in my card. That's pretty much it, sir. Back to chair. Okay, over to Jing.
Shinthia, I think what you can do now, since this has been a successful event, you can make this into a template card and you can put it on the gallery of success. And then future people, when they come up with a webinar, they can just use this as their playbook for the next webinar.
Oh, okay, sir. I will try to make it. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so that's pretty much from Cynthia. Thank you, Cynthia, for the updates. I might also going to put some names. If you can actually connect to Sean Winters, since he is the one from JIT Labs and a remote working expert, so you can might want to consider to look at his profile first. I'll put up on the card later. Yeah. Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, so other than that, Cynthia, you're welcome to stay, and you're also welcome to if you want to do other things too. Yep, I think I will go to my next task. Thank you for the time and see you guys. Thank you. See you, Cynthia. Have a nice day.
Thank you for visiting, Cynthia.
Thank you. Okay, now let's go to our start from Kiki first. So Kiki, please deliver your updates.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good afternoon, yeah. Yeah, glad to be back. So, I will wait. So, I will give my update about the first card for webinar networking, a national webinar networking with UNER So just for your information, so UNER is Universitas Erlangga. It's one of reputable universities in Indonesia, and we are currently managing to create an MOU with them and also the webinar with them. So I think it's all settled, sir. What I will do next is to publish the poster to Bukit Vista Instagram and LinkedIn. And also for the second card, I actually put a brainstorming question regarding a huge time difference between Indonesia and London or Indonesia and America. I mean, uh, how can we onboard the interns candidates if we have a huge time difference? So for the remote working or remote internship. So I think that Ara already put that in discussion management. So that's pretty much it from my update. Thank you. Back
Okay.
to you, Ara.
So yeah, thank you for that. I already put on the discussion management. So we'll discuss that after the scrum. Yeah. Okay, let's go to the next step from Jing actually.
Okay, let me just put a comment on Kiki's card through the first phase. Okay. Uh, okay. Yep. All right. Thank you very much, Mrs. Chair. So on my first card, HRF.4, this is reusing templates on Trello cards. This is progressing. Today we just had a discussion in community management about using the cards better for documenting pivots. So we just brought this up again, and hopefully we can make this a habit. We've seen community use it, but not too often. On my next card, which is HRH 1.0, this is seeking professional guidance and mentorship. We have good. We have some traction finally. So I got in touch with Jason Silver, which is he's an executive. He's an executive recruiter at Airbnb, or was an executive recruiter at Airbnb, and we have a session with him tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Bali time, Singapore time. I've invited Ara, Alethea, and also Kiki to come to this one because I think this is going to be a pretty good discussion. And finally, we had some insights about how HR could actually work. So that one's working. Also, the funny thing was I found what I was looking for. Actually, not I found it on LinkedIn Learning. So I was looking about how to organize HR, and I finally found this video series on LinkedIn Learning, and I've asked Ara if she can watch this as well. It's pretty much all the answers we were looking for, Ara, and it was right. It was right under our noses. So it was good and bad too. But the information that we're looking for is actually right here, and I think for professional networking we can still do it, but it's more for the networking aspect than the knowledge seeking aspect. So this part is pretty cool. After I found that, I realized I don't need to get in touch with Mark Levy anymore. This stuff is gold. Okay, so that was an interesting direction in the pivot, but we still have a few mentors that we have lined up on July 15th. There's Jabu. So we'll still go ahead and finish those out. But as far as the information we're looking for, the intended outcome, that can be learned through watching this video. All right, next card is on the ESS. So on the ESS, I just had a spurge of another inspiration. I've realized that I think employee satisfaction might not be as important as employee motivation. So satisfaction, I noticed, is it's temporary. It can be sort of like, yeah, I'm satisfied because we have free drinks in the office, or I'm satisfied because I got a bonus this month. But I think the deeper question is actually gauging employee motivation. And we did an experiment during the Leadership Guild, and I could actually see if you understand somebody's motivation, it is far more useful to determining their trajectory and their outcome in a company. So I'm thinking about actually pivoting more to understanding employee motivation. Okay, anyway, that's my update on that card. And the next one is F2.1. This is the culture of giving feedback peer to peer. I'm still doing this, and we've done this now across I think, on every chapter. So every chapter is aware. I'm observing and making sure that each chapter gives feedback at leadership level on discovery and prioritization. So we did a bit of that work this morning with the interns, just about how to actually become a good leader. So that part is inactive. I think every chapter has now taken action on this too as well. So except revenue. So this is moving along. This is my new pivot. Okay, next one is the master test training with Bayou. This one, there's no update. I need to speak to Bayou again about this, but no update on this one. Okay, that's the end of my cards. Back to the chair.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Hmm?
So for the last update on Bayu on masterclass, that's not applied yet, yeah.
No, not directly. No.
Okay. Okay, then let's go to my card now. So for onboarding trial program, um, the update was that I kind of what is it, after watching the LinkedIn Learning, that I think that it would be also necessary to add up the team members' testimonial of working in Bukit Vista too, because on the LinkedIn Learning I saw that he said something like it's create culture is to show the culture, and then I think one this video can reflecting on what is the culture and then how is the environment of working in Bukit Vista. So I might want to attach this on the free video on trial program. Also, the next one is about happy hour. For this week will be administered by NDNPD. And then for the pre-screening LinkedIn, so currently I am stopping the assessing candidates because as last time you said that you want to renew the video, sir. So
Mhm.
are we going to revise the video selection at the blog so far?
I think so. I think what we can do is we should schedule a time, maybe tomorrow, since tomorrow's a little bit more open, and let's take a look at the Google Analytics for this. So what I'd like to do is, can you send me a meeting request for tomorrow? And
Okay.
the intended result is after that we will come up with a new format for the screening process for interns. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, and then the next one for harassment at work module, I've already finished actually for the first and second module. I created on Canva so that it will be more interesting, I guess. So you guys can see I already attached the link on the first and the second one. So that's the update. And then for onboarding program, the actual one is that so I watched the LinkedIn Learning yesterday, and actually he gives some checkbox list to what to do on onboarding, right? I actually already have that for my personal use, so I might use it. My question is that is it relevant to apply it on part of onboarding program for future HR? I might send that to Jean to review and also to Kiki to review to give feedback to that checkbox. But yeah, so far that on the update on this one is that maybe I'll roll out the paper of checkbox to see whether it's relevant or not. Okay, so that's pretty much from today's update on the Scrum. Let's go over to the discussion management papers. So maybe sir, you can share the screen.
Sure. Okay. Whoops. Okay. Sorry about that. In a second, I'm going to need to pull that up. Where did it go? Sorry. It's evading me. Evasion. Okay. Ah, give me a second. I'm loading. Do 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 do. In the meantime.
Okay. So I already put actually to discussion for today. So far that from me, I'd like to just remind Jane that regarding the support master degree for vocational school at UTM, Mr. Jafari just get back to me this morning and texted about looking for support on the building of the program itself. So
Oh
how
wow.
can we support? Yeah, how can we support that? Is basically it's pretty simple. I already sent you the folders. So on the second page, there is an attachment of the files that you need to sign it and put it Bukit Vista heading, sir.
Me.
So yeah, so like just a formal letter that there's like a heading and then like the format of the letter is already there. So all you have to do is just attach the header and sign the
Oh,
paper
I
and
see.
give it
Okay,
to me
got it. Where has it been sent to? Careers?
in Slack, I
Oh,
think.
in Slack. Okay, got it. Got it. Okay, all right. I'll look for it in
Okay.
Slack.
So hopefully you can send it back by today, sir, because it's just signing, right?
Okay, so I need to sign and format a letter. This is your letter, right, Ara?
It's from UGM, from Pak Gifari.
Okay, from Pakifari.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, and then for the second one, actually from Kiki about the time difference candidates. This is also the things that I faced because we're seriously getting candidates from Canada and from France and then from Brazil. So in that
Okay.
sense, I think we also need some specific rules about the working hours. So in that sense, maybe I need to discuss on how is it will look like for a candidates that is have a very extreme time difference. For
Okay. Interesting. Oh,
Mhm.
who do you want to start the discussion, Ara?
Maybe to June.
Okay. I think this is good. I think it's good that we're dealing with these problems. This is a high quality problem, right? A low quality problem is like, how to, I don't know, how to fix the toilet or something. But this is a high quality problem. I think this is where our current infrastructure will help, right? So setting calendar hours, setting sort of like what is your time blocks that you plan to use to do what, using Trello, and budgeting a certain amount of time for sync ups. And I think I think this is also where the current material that we're creating for online training is also pretty valuable as well. So the whole idea is back to the very, very beginning again. Remote working forces asynchronous communication to be stronger. So instead of having to share the same hours where work is being done, how do we split those hours? How do we essentially then start splitting? This is a benefit. Think of like air support, right? If you have air support all over the world, then you don't need to stop your air support. Your air support just kind of gets handed over from one person to another to another. So I think the very first thing to have is to have this kind of problem. And then from the problem, then there needs to be a system to solve it. And then if you're getting good quality interns, that process of building the system can be done by the interns themselves. So what do I mean by that? Let's say, for example, somebody joins from Brazil. All right, there's definitely drawbacks to that because we can't sync up like normally, but there's some advantages. They might be able to post things now on their feeds at a better time than us. They might be able to engage with customers, or they might be able to engage with, let's say, potential business prospects in Brazil, and we have Brazilian representation where we couldn't have that before. Those are all advantages. So let's not get kind of too focused on what is going to need to be different. Let's focus on what's going to be great. We have now in market representation. We have in market intelligence. We have better contextual understanding of what happens there, and that then could be useful for a number of things, for expansion, for professional networking there, for university networking there. So I think we can just think about like, all right, what is the work that can be done asynchronously that can actually activate in that particular region? I would say if we had people from Harvard and London School of Economics, the first system we should work on is how can we get more people from Harvard and London School of Economics to join Bukit Vista in the next season? That should be, I think, the first objective. And then how do we develop interesting research topics that fulfill what they want to do and what we would accomplish? I think this idea of work hours, whatever, is by far secondary or tertiary. It would just be like, okay, this is what we normally do here. You're recommended to do the same. Nobody's going to monitor you, right? Just like nobody really monitors anybody working here now. But there will be projects, there will be initiatives, and you will need to make progress on it. And perhaps we can even use a form of video and recordings like what we do now to synchronize things. So maybe maybe everybody like what we're doing right now, right? like we're training leadership to happen within each chapter so that each person can lead actually their own initiatives. So let's say you have like let's say a North American group of applicants, then you could have like essentially a squad sync up in the North American segment during a time that's convenient for them, like at 12 o'clock their time. So essentially it would run the same way, but just with a new group of people. Does that make sense? So let's say, for example, you had one person from Brazil, one person from New York, one person from California. So now I think the way to structure it is, can these interns work together in a particular chapter on a particular project where they need to sync up? I think it's possible. Let's say for market development, let's put them in, let's say, market development. So then they can work on market projects and we teach them how to sync up, how the thing works, and then they operate on their own. And then they send back results, back like number of leads, number of contacts, number of new partnerships. If it's university relations, then it's the same thing, right? It's number of universities contacted, number of meetings that we're going to hold, number of webinars, the same as what we do here. But we distribute the leadership over to somebody over on that side to lead and operate their own cell.
Okay, so it's basically project based, right, sir?
Yeah, essentially it would operate as its own. It could be independent or integrated, just like exactly what we're doing right now. Like right now, there's probably no difference between the way that people in marketing operate in terms of their distance and availability to you as somebody, let's say, in Egypt, right, or somewhere else. The only thing is maybe we have to have sync ups a little bit less frequently at weirder times, right? Like maybe like earlier in the morning or later in the evening for them, and that part we can plan. But I think everything else actually works pretty much the same because there is a time difference, but there are always going to be overlap hours where we can sync up. So for people between East and West, it's generally in the early mornings or in the later evenings. We just need to have a few of those sync ups like less frequently. And for everybody who's in a particular region, I think they can sync up more frequently within their region to work on projects and goals. And all we need to do is export our method to that particular group of people and let them run accordingly. Does that make sense?
Mm. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
So
understand.
I would focus on what, yes, there's going to be a bit of time difference, but hey, look, this is the way that Google, Facebook, and I don't know, Gojek even, I think every major tech company can do this now pretty frictionlessly. It's not actually a barrier. It's actually an advantage. Companies that cannot figure out how to do remote working cannot get distributed teams around the world to cooperate very well. But if you have asynchronous communication, if you have things like Trello working, Slack working, whatever, then it's just a matter of response time, right? There is going to be a response time lag. And let's face it, between me and you and Kiki, I think there's more than sometimes an 8 hour response time on Slack, right? For certain messages, anyways. So that part will be probably no different than than people working in a different time zone. So Kiki, over to your side. I think the idea is to focus on how we get regional strength, and then how do we create the fabric of communication to be asynchronous, which is what we have essentially already, right? We have that already. And how do we provide training remotely? And that's why we record and document everything. So that, let's say, I don't need to be up at like 3 a.m. coaching people how to do something. They can just watch these videos of how we trained previous candidates before, and they can write down what they have learned, and I can check that and see, did you actually learn what is correct? Okay, that's my thoughts, right? Those are my opinions. It's a little bit strong, but I think I would get very excited about this, like the way that you can extend. Over back to you, Ara, for further input.
So for me, itself is that can be done, and I understand there is the bigger picture that okay, it will be great if we have many people in different countries, but I don't think it's quite the same with people like Facebook and things like that, because those type of companies have headquarters in different sides of the world. So for example, they have different people in London and different people in Thailand, but they have headquarters in Singapore to represent as a representative in Asia. So the time difference wouldn't be so big. That's one difference that I can detect. Another things is that for the onboarding programs are like there will be like orientation with the mentor itself, right? For me as an HR or the leader of the chapters or mentorships from anyone else. So in that sense, okay, I understand that mentorship can be adjusted to each person, which is easier because it's just one on one, right? But for the onboarding itself, that onboarding program like HR orientations and things like that, that will be they have to like adjust or how exactly? I think they need to be adjust.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
not.
As Christian, I mean, Christian did his headquarters is in San Francisco, right? And he's the only person here for Cloudbits in Indonesia. Um, there's this is actually really common that I've seen all over the world. There's sole operators for, let's say, internet companies, and they're like the only person in a WeWork. Kevin was the only operator for his company, right, in Malaysia. Um, that one's not necessarily relevant. They're in the same time zone, but let's ask them, right? I think actually we know the answer already from our discussion with Christian.
Mhm.
Remember, he said that basically the U.S. office and him had occasional sync ups from time to time, but he was operating pretty much entirely on his own because all his work could be monitored, right? Um, all his work was already saved in the CRM. All his training material was already recorded in these video
Exactly.
libraries, right?
Exactly. So in that sense, then we need to adjust and pivot our on existing onboarding program that I
Yes,
am working on right now. If
yes,
it's going to be like that, then it's going to be 90%, I would say, not face to face. You know, like the all materials is already created, so you just learn by yourself. This
yes,
is the flow, this is the materials, like
yes.
that, right?
I think that would be probably the best direction to go. So for onboarding in the future, it can be just like what Christian said. They watch videos and then they answer questions
Mhm.
about it, and then you coach them. It's sort of like remote learning. You go back and you answer what they have said, and you check if they have really understood, and the engagement then comes through a little bit of a time delay, which ultimately some people prefer that. I've noticed anyway. Some people
Yeah.
prefer having written communication, being able to understand through writing. It's clearer. So yeah, ultimately, if we want to have a global presence, then we do need to think of how to create global onboarding as well, and how to. I think what Bayu said is making more sense now, right? This idea of you create the sandbox, you create the goal, and then the candidates are essentially building their projects in the sandbox, and then they present it, and then you can take a look and see, okay, did you actually understand what was necessary to become proficient in this role? So
Okay.
for that answer, Kiki and Ara, this one is already, I think, a well tread path, meaning that this has been done multiple times. It's not even innovation anymore, but it is new to us. It is new to us.
Mhm.
So I think we need to figure out how it's being done. And I think if we want to go back and ask Christian again, like how he got it, that would be the best example. His headquarters is in San Francisco. He's in Bali, and they have other people all over the world, right? How do they manage? Jennifer Fry is like in Portugal. Her head office is in San Francisco. So how would she able to keep everything? How does she onboard? How is she trained? So I think that can be, yeah, that part I don't think is a blocking point. I think it's actually a strategic point. But we just need to figure out how to actually structure the material so that it can be well done.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Maybe from Vicky, do you have any other question regarding this? Hello? Hello, Vicky now? Okay, then since Vicky doesn't have any questions, I think we already covered everything on discussion in this paper. Is there any further discussion that you would like to discuss? Maybe over to you.
For me, no, I think we're doing good actually. I think HR is moving along. Just to zoom out a little bit, I think the the professional networking that we're doing is getting higher and higher and higher and more advanced. So that part is pretty cool. And we're getting good interns, great interns here right now too as well. I think that's really good as well. No, I think there's good progress. Uh, Far more than what we would have thought possible just a few weeks ago. So looking good.
Okay. Okay, then if there is no other discussion, maybe let's go to the feedback. Maybe let's start from the interns first. From Alithia, do you have any feedback for me as a chair? Oh, do you guys already familiar with this P2P feedback?
Sort of like we can give feedback on how you like chair the entire meeting.
Oh, what? Sorry, your voice is cracking, Olivia.
Oh, sorry. Cause as in like you were talking about how the feedback thing works. I think as in based on how I observed it, it's like how you can give feedback on how you chat the whole thing and whether like it's basically like improvement on how you can share. But I think it was okay.
Okay. So maybe starting from Alithia, do you have any feedback for me as a chairperson today in the meeting?
No, I think it was clear.
Are you sure?
Yeah. As in I could catch up with everything. Like even the discussion between you and Jake, like it was still like fairly understandable.
Okay, let's go for Frida. Do you have any feedback for me?
Okay, from my opinion, so far is good.
Just good?
Yes.
Really? Good loss?
Maybe like after you discuss one card, maybe you can offer to any interns or member meeting to have. Do you have any comment like that?
I see. Okay, thank you. Let's go over to Caroline.
No, it's very understandable. So yeah, all good.
Okay, thank you. Over to Hasbi.
It's good. I like how you asked Jing for his knowledge about the global onboarding thing. It was quite insightful, and you also had points to rebut against him. That was quite nice to hear.
Okay, interesting. Okay, over to Jing. Do you have any feedback?
I would agree. Yeah, I think that idea of being able to step on toes is really something I cherish, and I know it's good. I think it sort of takes into account different perspectives, and I would I think this is good. I think you have a good sense of leading and updating the execution and keeping track of that. So that part is good. I think you're keeping track of the problems and how to look around them, and you're connecting the dots now, Ara. So you connected the dots about how like your current pivot on the onboarding program is connected to how we will globalize. So that was a pretty good um, connecting the dots, and so that's related to problem solving. I think. Oh, there is one thing. The only one thing, and this is relatable to some of the interns actually who just came from the community sync up, which is I believe your cards might need a new pivot. So what I see happening is that you're working on new ideas already, like for the intern onboarding, but they're still on the same card. So I think it's important to remember each pivot represents a certain hypothesis and a certain outcome. So the outcome, I think, has been the same, but we are trying new things now. We're going to try things like how do we bring in more video instruction and maybe less synchronized instruction. So as we pivot, I think it's important to just create new cards so that we remember that this is a new pivot, and that's also fundamentally important because what should happen is you pivot, and sometimes you'll succeed. The new pivot will work better than what you had before, but sometimes it won't. So when you have a pivot, it allows you to kind of go back to where I think they said in Lean Startup, go back to the last point where there was still some success, and be able to trace back from that point and start a new sequence of pivots. So let's say you started from pivot A and then you went to pivot B, and then you went to pivot C, and it was all going really well. And then you go pivot D, and you realize pivot D is not working. So a lot of times people get lost. They go, oh, what should I do next? Well, it's actually really simple. Where did you still feel success? Was it at pivot C or B? By pivot C, it was still feeling kind of like things were getting lost. Okay, what about pivot B? Yeah, I felt like I was more confident at pivot B, things were going okay. Then you go back to pivot B and you start a new sequence again. If you sort of take all your pivots and you put it on one card, after a while it becomes hard to like figure out when things were sort of working really well. So that's my only comment for that, and that's a similar piece of feedback that I gave for community. And that's one of my pivots too as well. That's what I'm working on. I'm working on how to create better pivot documentation. So that's my only feedback. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir. Actually, regarding that, let me know what you think about it. So what I'm thinking is that making the pivot from each batch. So I'll let your comment and everybody's comment on the card from this batch, and then I'll pivot and make a new card on the next one. So on the next one, I'll make like the new pivot based on the previous feedback.
Okay,
So
very good, excellent. Okay, other than that, I have one question for Frida. Frida, have we forgotten to talk about anything?
You're muted, Frida.
Oh wait, sorry, not Frida. Alethea, sorry, it's Alethea. Alethea, have we forgotten to talk about something?
The buddy.
Yes,
mentor.
very good. Okay, all right. Step on toes. So I deliberately left that out to see if anybody would mention it, and this is important, right? Sometimes the people here forget, right? And it's up to you to, as an intern, to also care about your representation, about your progress. So if you do notice that something wasn't mentioned, by all means mention it, right? Step on toes and say, hey, look, you didn't mention about this. Who's going to be my buddy? Okay, good. Yeah. All right. So, and we have another core value here, which is help others help themselves, or help others first. So if you do see, let's say, Caroline or Haspi, if you see that somebody, hey, what about Alethea's buddy? Are we going to talk about that? Also, feel free to step on toes and bring that up, right? So I was seeing if that would get brought up, but I think it wasn't going to get brought up. So anyways, I'm bringing it up. Right. Okay. Ara, we need to find a buddy for Alethea because she's joining HR, and we got a few minutes to talk about it. So if I may, I'll talk about the buddy system and what it means to everyone here. So let me actually pull it up on my screen. So let's go over to Ara first. Ara, what do you believe what should we expect of a good mentor, and what should we expect of a good intern?
First, from the interns, I would expect that anyone is open to learn and easy to teach. So,
okay, all right.
in that sense that you have to have this mindset of willing to learn anything, like not building walls or like limitate yourself. I think that's the first things that my tips, I think, because that's what I did. So when I was an intern, even though like different systems, that's what I trying to tell myself, like never limited myself on whatever I'm going to learn. So that's a good intern. And then from the mentor itself, I think a mentor should be able to become a representative of the company in any terms, in anything. So whether it's on culture, whether it's on the habits and everything, it has to be somebody that truly understands on what's going on and can deliver it and teach it in a easiest way.
Okay, all right, in the easiest way. Okay, there you go. Let's take a look at that then. All right, great. So there's a lot of good stuff there. I can see some of you smiled. And just by the way, for everyone who's here, Ara began her journey at Bukit Vista. Oh, was it almost 2 years ago? It felt like a long time. Was it 2 years ago? It was about 2 years ago. She began as an intern. Now she's in charge of HR. So hey, things can happen. So okay, let's take a look at this. So we're for your benefit, we've chewed through this structure a few times already, and here's what we got. we're tying together all the different components of what leadership is to this structure of the mission of leadership, right? So let's say we go over to comments from HR. So let's take a look at your side, right? This idea of able to represent the company. What part of the mission of leadership do you think that sits in? Does that sit in discovery, prioritization, problem solving, or execution?
Do you mean what, sir? Which of the?
What? How do we take what you've just said, right? This idea of able to represent the company, and where will we put it in the mission of leadership? Is it the part where we're helping discovery happen? Is it prioritization?
It should be like the alignment is number one, right? So we have to like specifically, maybe not the specific how problem solving, but the ideas on the way that we used to have like problem solving is key. And then another thing is prioritizations. For example, Hasbi must have his own way on doing prioritizations, right? So does Caroline and Alithia. But we should at least deliver our way, like for example, using the metrics.
Mhm.
I forgot the name, that prioritization, the metrics. So people can, the mentor should be able to deliver that to them. Like, okay, this is how we do prioritizations. So yeah, that's what I meant by representatives.
Okay, so this kind of falls under prioritization, right? Able to represent the company, the company's method. Okay, yes, I think that's actually really good. Let's go over to. Okay, let's further discuss this. Alethea, your thoughts on this? Do you agree with Ara, or do you think it belongs somewhere else, or what's your framework here?
I think it probably belongs in problem solving.
Okay, all right. So Alethea thinks it also goes into also or instead of. Do you think it should only be in problem solving, or it should also be in problem solving?
I think it can be both.
Okay, all right. Let's take a look at that. Let's put it in both for now. Next, over to Caroline. Caroline, what are your thoughts?
I felt it's an execution.
Oh, wow. Okay, so Caroline thinks it's an execution. Okay, all right. Interesting. Let's go to Haspi.
I actually agree with Ara in that it's prioritization.
Okay.
Because what she mentioned was that the individual has its own method, but then there's also the company's standardized method. So it's a question of weighing the two and deciding which to emphasize on.
Ah, wow. Okay, now that is keen. Let's go to Frida. Frida, who's right?
In my opinion, it belongs to discover. Sure.
Discovering. Wow. Okay. Good thing we're having a discussion. Yeah. All right.
Because like if we know the destination of our company, it will be easier to find the problem.
Okay. Got it.
Oh, sir.
Yes.
Sorry
Okay,
to
back to
interrupt.
Ara.
So actually, what I said was actually in every phase and every term. So it can actually in every things, whether it's discovery, prioritization, problem solving, and execution. I was giving one example in prioritization.
Okay.
Another thing, for example, for discovery, I would agree is that how we always teach on professional networking, right? It's discovering the leads, how we teach them or the new people on. Okay, this is what we do professional networking and things. So yeah, that's what I meant.
Okay, got it. Okay, in that particular regard, let me condense this down a little bit then. I will agree that I think it doesn't, okay, to be concise, I don't think it belongs here in execution, mainly because we are just suggesting these methods to you, right? We're suggesting the principles, the core values, the way to balance, right? Like the idea of giving you the understanding of the vision.
Yeah.
And if we tell you the vision, you come up with the idea yourself. Because if I tell you the way, then I'm your boss. I'm like your manager. We don't really want to have that type of relationship. We'd rather have it once again back to the beginning. Smart people come up with the ways to tell us how things should be done. So we don't want to share these company methods with you to have you like execute it. Work that would be limited because you wouldn't be able to come up with your own ideas and you wouldn't be able to evolve the method over time as you saw fit. And comes back to Socratic method as well. Why do we use Socratic method? Because it helps us discover new knowledge and new understanding. If we expected you just to do this, then we are not expecting you to actually learn anything or discover anything. So it doesn't. I would remove it from execution. I would also remove it from discovery because I think discovery is more about, let's say, yes, you can use the company's methods to discover, but the crucial part of discovery is more of having an open mind, actually, right? Discovery is actually inhibited by the company's methods. If it could help it in the beginning to give you courage, right? Like, I don't know how to find out, like a new person. Can you help me? Yes, we can train you on these methods to help you figure it out. But after a while, for you to continue to discover, it's far more important just to keep an open mind. Maybe the methods are good right now, but I don't expect any method to be consistently good. Let's say for discovery, there should be some sort of thought process involved in there. We can teach you like these things, but ultimately, what really discovers is an open mind and staying curious. That's how you discover. So it's a little bit more relevant, but not the most relevant place. So I'll go ahead and I'll delete that. Problem solving, yes. Once again, same thing as execution. Problem solving, we can show you the methods, we can show you what to do, but problem solving is something that you will do just from learning from experience. You'll be able to apply what you know. You'll be applying maybe some of the things you learned at school. You'll merge that into the context of what you see here happen. But problem solving, at the end of the day, is still very personal. It's something that it's like your way is your way. We don't intend to shift that away, and we would rather you solve problems your own way, but you prioritize the problems to solve, right? You are able to understand if you're solving the right problems. You're able to understand if you solved the problem to completion. You're able to understand what success and what failure look like. So ultimately, it is as Ara and I think Haspi mentioned, it's a way of prioritizing. We show you the company's method. We show you this. Oh yes, okay, thank you, Kiki. So we show you the company's method so that you then have a good vision and you can see if what you're doing is actually aligned and working and should be prioritized. You can also see if other people's work is also aligned and should also be prioritized. So it works every way. We might be working for the greatest failures in Bukit Vista have never been projects where we've been successful or failed. It's the projects that you don't prioritize. Are you prioritizing correctly? Are you been working on for years without a clear goal? Those, I think, are the deepest failures here. But every other thing that if you know what the priority should be, if you know what the outcome should be, if you know what the vision is, then that gives you your own problem solving, your own execution, and your own discovery skills. So as you can see throughout the day too as well, we haven't talked too much about prioritization. Most of the discussions from different chapters have been about how to discover, how to problem solve, how to execute. But I think prioritization is one of the core things that HR tries to give for everybody, because everybody will have different ways of solving problems, right? Content and marketing problems are solved very differently than perhaps HR and hospitality problems. Revenue problems are solved very differently from hospitality problems. So each person will have a different approach, and that's fine. That's what we want you to have. We can guide you, but ultimately we hope that you will innovate on problem solving, you'll innovate on execution, and you can innovate on discovery. But it really is important that you make the right discoveries, do the right execution, and address the right problems. Okay. So yes, it's very much part of prioritization. It does help with everything, so everybody is correct in that, but the main focus should be on prioritization. Okay, cool. Thank you very much, Ara. Good. Okay, so hopefully that clarifies once again to everybody, like the example we just did to Caroline in the beginning, that with the practical exercise and also the vision exercise, then what you should ultimately feel if things are working well is freedom. You should feel like there's a lot of freedom. there's a lot of freedom to try out a lot of different ideas. You should be able to be like, oh wow, what if we did this on TikTok, right? Or hey, wow, what if we combine these two things together? Would we get like a fun new option? My daughter is really into baking these days, so she watches YouTube and then she like takes an idea from this guy, she takes another idea from this lady, she reads a blog, and she comes up with her own recipes. And if things are working well for you in Bukit Vista, it should feel like that. It should feel like you're combining all these different ingredients to create your own ideas, and your own ideas are, as long as they're prioritized correctly, should be seeing some success. Okay? All right, cool. Back to
Okay.
you, Joe.
Okay, thank you, sir. I think we already covered everything. We're already
One
done.
last thing. So, as the same exercise for Ara as well. Ara, you or Kiki will probably be the buddy for Alethea. So what I want you to do is take a look at this document. We've been accumulating everybody's opinion across the company on this, and I think this is really important because this is setting the expectations of leadership, right, and internship, and that's crucial that we get that right in the beginning. Take a look at it, think about it, and then we'll discuss this tomorrow. Yes, we will need to discuss it tomorrow because I like Alethea to have a buddy soon. So we'll discuss it tomorrow. We'll pick a time, discuss it tomorrow, and then we'll get Alethea hooked up with a buddy. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So let's see. Please, this is the second meeting I'm going to request, but schedule another meeting with me and Alethea, and then we'll get this done. It can be 2:00 tomorrow. I think there's time. Yeah.
Okay, so for Buddy, yeah?
Yeah, just to get Alethea buddied up and aligned onto her progress.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, I think we are on time. So
Yay!
thank you, everyone, for attending the meetings today. And then for the next, I think I would like to change the role of chairperson next time. So the next chairperson will be Kiki, and then the secretary will be me. Okay, that's pretty much it. Thank you. And I wish you have a good day. I motion to adjourn the meeting. Yeah. Okay. See you, everyone. Bye. Nice day.
Okay. Bye bye. Oh wait, one last thing. Okay, so for the interns, I have a new exercise, right? So this is a quick one. Oh, Caroline, over to you. How's the name? Wait, let me stop the recording right now.